Hey everybody, Ron from Fallout Hobbies here with Jules.
Hey everybody, what's up?
So, we moved, we relocated, we're in a new spot, it's been crazy. We're trying our best to get things back up to snuff. And I hope everyone's being safe today. Delta's on the rise, so don't be getting wild out there. Alright, today I'm going to continue work on the Star Destroyer project that I was working on a couple months ago, where in a different video I showed using airbrush stencils and custom decals and stuff like that to get this customized Star Destroyer, which I'm going to just kind of say is probably like maybe an Admiral ship or something like that. Kind of like how Thrawn was able to customize his ship. I'm just imagining this from a different Admiral. So I've been installing little lights all along the edges here. There's lights in the back. I did those in a different video. There's the strip lighting in here. There's more strip lighting that needs to be attached. And then I got lights over here, which are going to be for the landing bay lights. And we need to attach some resistors to things and wire it all up, because these tiny little lights were meant for 3 volt, these super little ones that are going in all along the edge. And this is going to be a 9 volt circuit to run everything. So we need to put resistors because we don't want to blow anything out. So we're going to do that. Like I said, I'm wiring a little more strip lighting. This is the base for the model, which I put magnets on, and it's all hollow, and I'm going to paint it all nice and black, and I'll be able to hide the 9 volt batteries in there, so it'll have a nice handy-dandy base. I got the soldering iron heating up over here, and let's get into it. So first things first, I want to finish wiring up what I was doing over here with the wiring all these lights back here, the engine lights, plus the strip lighting, and I need to attach the piece of strip lighting that's going to be in the top of the ship too. So as you can see, this strip lighting is pretty bright. It probably won't be that bright once everything's all hooked up, because it's going to be a pretty big drain on the battery. If the battery gets to be too drained, I might just up it to like a 12 volt power supply with some extra AAA batteries ran in parallel. But we'll see. We'll see where it goes. So like all my lighting projects, I use polymer-coated brass wire. So this wire actually is coated with a layer of plastic, so it won't short out if it touches each other. But the areas where you solder can still short out. So I'm going to have to put some liquid masking tape on that when it's done. Questions from anyone so far?
No, not yet. Mm-mm.
You might have to bear with us a little bit. This is the first live stream that we've had since we moved, and I'm still trying to find all my tools because I have misplaced a few things. Let me go grab it exactly. Been a little bit hectic, getting adjusted to an entirely new town, finding the right place to buy groceries and stuff like that, getting all the orders fixed up. Still have outstanding orders that we're working on, but we are working on them.
Also, I apologize for the video quality. It seems that our software Ecamm Live decided to do an update, and the quality's not the greatest today. I'm going to try and figure that out before our next streaming event.
Is that because of the update?
I think so.
Hmm. Well, that's weird. Makes me wonder why the video quality would go down with an update.
One would think it would be better, but they're constantly updating things, which I like, and usually they work out some bugs and kinks pretty good.
We have been experiencing one technological related issue after another since the move. It's been causing a little bit of stress, but we're working on it, just like everything else. All right. Well, the power strips work. That's good. Ooh, it's hot. And there's the flickering lights in the back. Hopefully you guys can see that well. I gotta start attaching some resistors and stuff. So resistors, pretty easy stuff. You just gotta make sure you're using the right resistor for the right voltage. Now there's calculators and all this stuff online for that. These little LEDs actually come with resistors for different power sources. So these resistors are meant for 9 volt up to 14 volt power sources. Resistors, doesn't matter if you put it on the positive or the negative end. Don't put it on both ends, because then you'll put too much resistance on it and the circuit won't work. You just got to pick an end to put it on. In this case, I think I'm going to wire these resistors to the negative side over here, just to make sure that that I follow suit. When I do any other resistors on here, it's also going to be on the negative end.
D. Ramsey says they're doing pretty good. How we're doing? I said just recovering from moving.
Recovering. We are recovering heavily. It's only really felt kind of normal the past couple days. It was all chaotic for a while.
Moving 3 Shopify stores is not fun.
No. Not fun at all.
But it is like the best location we've had to work in ever, so.
Yes.
Dee asked, did we move far? We moved about
2 hours?
Yeah, a good 2 hours away. We're now in the Philadelphia suburbs, so.
Back to good old Philly suburbs. We were in a pretty, I wouldn't say rural, but close to rural.
Like Scranton.
Area. I mean, Scranton itself is not rural, but we weren't in the city. We were outside of it. There were some benefits to living up there, like cheap parking and stuff, but other than
And
that...
cheap beer. They had cheap beer, too.
Cheap beer and cheap parking. That was about it, really.
Interestingly, though, they have red police cars here, which is kind of different.
Yeah, I thought that was weird. Apparently it's like a holdover from back in the day.
He says, I'm just cooking dinner. That's awesome. Watching some like model building while you're cooking dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. I haven't figured out what we're doing for dinner.
I'm making hamburgers tonight.
Oh, that is really sexy.
Well, vegan hamburgers, but whatever. Vegetarian hamburgers are not completely vegan. The cheese will be real, so that'll be about it.
Hey, any meal I don't have to cook is my kind of meal.
Well, now I'm just attaching this extension here so I can get all these tiny little lights working. These lights are like barely even a millimeter wide and very tiny, and the wires coming off of them are like hair thin. And sometimes it can get a little bit frustrating because they're like wisping around everywhere when I'm trying to get like a good grip on them, you know? But I'll make it work. And I just really hope I did a good job with the resistor, because I don't want to have this whole thing just kind of burn out and fall apart. So
Dee's making some gluten-free barbecue fajitas.
that sounds good.
It does sound good.
That's what we should do one night for dinner. Fajitas.
How? You need meat for that.
You get fake meat.
Okay.
Morningstar makes a good fake meat substitute. Or we could just do fish ones. Our
Fish
main thing
fajitas?
is our main thing right now is like no livestock.
Well, wouldn't that be pescatarian and not vegetarian? Technically?
We're making it up as we go along.
Okay.
That's what we're doing. We're making it up as we go along. So we watched Suicide Squad last night.
So if you haven't, you might want to mute the video for a couple seconds.
I feel like everyone's probably watched it already.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was silly and ridiculous, which definitely was what I was like looking for. And yeah, I'm really sad that the dude from SNL, what the heck is his name?
Pete Davidson.
Yeah, he died like pretty early on into it, and he's funny as hell. So
A lot of people don't like him.
I love him.
I know he's got grief. A lot of people don't like him because he made some cracks about like this right wing guy, and it was a little bit in poor taste. But honestly, it's like half the jokes that SNL makes are in poor taste. So I really didn't see the.
He did like a whole 10-minute thing, I think, in his last stand-up comedy addressing the fact that he made a bad joke about a right.
Yeah, he got a lot of heat for that. I mean, quite frankly, if you look through any comedian out there, you'll be able to find at least one joke that you found offensive or was in poor taste. It's just a question of if you get offended by that type of stuff.
See, I like him because he's like really on the nose and sarcastic and funny, and I like his sense of humor.
Yeah.
D says monkfish. If we're gonna do fish, fajitas is a good one to use.
Monkfish. I like monkfish.
I don't think I've ever had monkfish.
It's pretty good.
I'll have to try it. Oh, D says, yeah, James Gunn is a good director. Absolutely.
He definitely has his actors that are like his go-to actors, I've noticed. I remember, like, babe, do you remember the like live-action Scooby-Doo movies from back in the day?
I mean, vaguely.
Those were James Gunn too. Oddly enough.
Huh.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
You could kind of tell when you watch them because you know how like different directors have different like camera angles that they really like to use or different techniques that they just kind of tend to use over and over again.
Yeah.
He's definitely like that. Like there was a lot of similarities in certain aspects of this movie to like say Guardians of the Galaxy or something like that.
I loved Guardians of the Galaxy. It was one of my favorites. As far as the whole...
Michael Rooker was in those as well as Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
The guy whose head blew up.
Yep.
Spoiler alert.
I've actually been really... well, I really enjoyed it. We finished it, so gotta wait for season 2 now. I've been really loving Kevin Smith's, the new He-Man series. It was really good.
We haven't had a live stream since that.
Mm-hmm. I love Kevin Smith though. He's amazing. I grew up with like a lot of his movies like Mallrats and Clerks and Dogma and Jersey Girl and all of those movies, and he just did such an amazing job with the He-Man reboot. They took like reboot. They took like a lot of risks and stuff, and I mean, he killed He-Man twice. Yeah. Sorry, spoiler. D goes, yeah, the He-Man was ace.
Yeah. I'm going to be printing out a Skeletor figure for my stepdaughter, Autumn, because she just is like in love with He-Man and She-Ra and stuff and loves the reboots and everything. And she likes Skeletor a lot, so I think I'm going to be doing that for a live stream too.
She does a great like impression of like Skeletor's old school laugh. I think the casting for He-Man was really amazing too. Like I didn't realize, and it was funny because like I was listening to it, I'm like, why do I know that voice? Why do I know that voice? And it was Sarah Michelle Gellar. I'm like, oh, it's Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and she was doing the voice of
Tila.
Yeah. And of course, the chick from Game of Thrones. I forget what that actress's name is. Yeah. She did Evil Lynn.
She is just relegated to doing those roles anymore.
Like the evil chick role?
Evil chick roles. That's like, that's what she's got now.
Yeah.
The only time I've ever actually seen her play a good guy, or good gal, rather, was the Sarah Connor Chronicles TV show, where she played Sarah Connor in that. That was the only time I ever saw her play someone that wasn't evil. I mean, there was like Doom, she played the evil drug dealer lady, Mama, Doom, Evil Lynn, Game of Thrones, like 50 other things. that were all like fantasy based. I've seen her in like some horror movies. I wonder how she feels about that.
Sorry, I was talking and chatting to D. Yeah, I really liked Evelyn too. I really think they did a good job of making her character like really likable, even though she was a villain. And I mean, she like played both sides really well. Of course, like when Skeletor like showed back up, she had to switch teams, but I think they did a really good job with her character. Dee says, "Fighting with my family." She was in that one.
Oh yeah.
I've never seen that one. I'm gonna have to look that up. Oh, it's got freaking The Rock in it. We have to watch it now. I love The Rock.
The only thing I'm excited for with The Rock is for him to play Black Adam. Because he's the bad guy in the next Shazam movie.
Fighting with My Family, 2019 biographical sports comedy drama.
Alright, this is the last thing that I think I need to connect. I totally burnt myself.
I used to watch like SmackDown and all that stuff when I was a kid growing up. My favorite was Lita back in the day. She'd like Hurricane Rana the crap out of people. It was nice to see like when they finally like moved away from like having chicks just like on the sidelines, like big boobs hanging out, and actually started having like, female wrestlers. That was like awesome for me back in the day. Of course, I watched it for other reasons, but whatever.
This is a little bit of a cluster F happening in here, but it's working out. The rubber that's encasing these fine LEDs is kind of like lumping up a bit as I'm working with it, but I can't really scrape it off because the metal wire that's inside of it is like a wisp of a hair. And if I try to like peel the rubber off, it just ends up peeling the filament out as well. So I kind of just have to deal with it. So I've been melting the rubber with the soldering iron as I'm like putting solder on it. I'm sure there's probably a more professional way to do this. I'm just not privy to that right now.
Dee says, if you like wrestling, go watch AEW on TNT. Huh. AEW Professional Wrestling is moving to TBS. I haven't watched wrestling, honestly, since I was like a kid, but I used to be all into that big time. Every Thursday night.
Thursday Night SmackDown.
Yep.
I watched the Toys That Made Us episode about wrestling figures. That was really interesting. When they were talking about a lot of the politics behind it all. But it wasn't just, internal strife with like the wrestlers and the managers and Turner and stuff like that. It was interesting when they were talking about the physics of the toys with the kids and all that stuff.
Autumn actually really loves that series, The Toys That Made Us.
Mm-hmm.
She's been really into that.
This should be the last connection. Smoke everywhere. These little guys right here that I have in the clip, these are the ones that are going to go into the underslung shuttle bay. And then there's two more random guys, these two, which are going to be in the very tiny front shuttle bay. So clip these two so I don't lose them. Okay. Moment of truth. This will either work or it won't. Okay. Everything works, including these little guys right here. These guys. Engine lights in the back are working. I do think I'm going to have to up this, though, to a 12-volt battery pack, which is not bad. I have to find the actual battery holders. I have them in one of these cabinets here. So what I'm going to have to do is run... I have to solder 2 more wires into here, and then run them out through the bottom of the base through one of these legs, because these kind of hold it up like this. And then that's going to go into the bottom here where the battery pack holder will be. And it'll be all nice. This is interesting. They gave us a little Corellian ship and a tiny Millennium Falcon, just in case you wanted something, you know, to display it with. I was actually thinking about 3D printing a really tiny little Imperial ship for the shuttle bay instead of this one. So I haven't glued this on because I'm not sure if I want to even use these pieces yet. I just kind of built them just for the hell of it. Alright. So let me start. I need to put 2 wires, 2 of these LEDs, these little guys. Did I even glue this on yet? Bandai kits are snap together, so sometimes I don't even glue the pieces on yet if I don't need to. So I might not have even glued this on. I can't tell. Anyway, flip this over so you can see the bottom here. So I'm going to put 1 in each corner of the front of there. So, my trusty hand drill that everyone likes.
They are fun.
They are. Next week, I think I'm going to be working on probably Oscar's Hellboy figure for his birthday.
Although I gotta say, he picks like the hardest themes to come up with stuff for birthday parties because it's like he'll pick things that are obscure or like what the heck do you do for decorations? Like I think the last one was like Plague Doctor.
SCP.
Oh, SCP. So I mean, I did manage to like pull some stuff together, but it was not easy.
Yeah, my son is definitely not the kind of kid that's like, I want sports or Iron Man.
Autumn's another one too. She picks some like really obscure stuff too. Like she wanted like a Sugar Skull one, but fortunately, like Sugar Skulls at least are pretty popular, so it wasn't too hard to find. I couldn't even find like Hellboy wrapping paper.
Well, it's not exactly a kids themed kind of thing, but you know, it's what he wants.
Well, neither is Deadpool, and like Kalen's been all about Deadpool lately. He wanted like, but that was like scrolls for his room, which was really easy to find, and then that like figure you printed for him. We have a thing since we do 3D printing where my husband, every time the kids have like a birthday or if it's like Christmas, he'll print out whatever their favorite, character is of the minute and he'll paint it up for them or create like a kit that they can paint or whatever. Just cute.
I try.
I went a little overboard for Oscar's birthday. I got him some really cool stuff. I hope he likes.
Okay, this one looks like it's in good. This one has super glue. And a bead of zip kicker.
He says Peek-a-Pool Pikachu dressed up as Deadpool. Yeah. It's very funny.
It's like Detective Pikachu. Oh, this one's tricky.
Oh, that is so cute. You can even get pillows with that. Deadpool Pikachu. And t-shirts.
The trick when you're installing lights in something like this is you want to make sure they're relatively even placed because you don't want to have like one side kind of be like really bright and blown out and the other side just be uneven. You want to try to get a certain level of symmetry if you can. That looks relatively symmetrical in the front up here. Now this is where I'm going to probably have to get some tape and stuff, because these little fine filaments are going everywhere. Make sure all these filaments are not up in the air here. In fact, I'm going to put a little bit of super glue right here just to keep this cluster tied down, because if I don't, when I go to close the model up and everything, it's just going to kind of like, the pieces will end up getting like stuck in the areas where they need to connect and whatnot. Wispy, hair-like fibers everywhere. Don't super glue my hand while I'm at it. There we go. Alrighty. Can you close the door? This cluster of stuff has to kind of come out of the way, because you see this is a connecting pin right here. That off to the side over there. Oh, this one piece just keeps getting back in the way. There we go. Big blob of super glue. Let's just fuse this all together here. Make sure none of the wirings are touching. Get that off to the side. There, now it's not as in my way, you know, with all the wires and stuff going everywhere. There's only one piece that's a little bit loose, and that's this piece, because this is going to go into the top area. Like, these lights are going to fold into this section of it. But otherwise, all this stuff is a little bit open up now. I mean, not open up, the opposite of open up. Tied down. That's what I meant to say. Sorry, I was having a brain fart there for a minute. Alright, so I can move all that to the side. It's a giant piece of solder that just got stuck in there. Where did that 9-volt battery go? I just like to periodically double check and make sure everything's working out. Also, these strip LED lights that I have running the interior are very handy, but they do need a little bit of breathing room. I found out the hard way that if you jam them up on top of each other a little bit too tightly, they will start to overheat. Even though LEDs don't kick off a lot of light, these things do kick off a lot of heat is what I meant to say. These things do kick off a little bit of heat if you don't give them a little bit of airflow room around them to dissipate. So that's why sometimes after I get like a kit wired up, before I close it up, I'll just kind of turn it on and let it sit there for like an hour. And just make sure nothing's like smoking or melting or anything like that. I have had times where I finished a kit and it was all beautiful and worked and everything, and then I cranked it on and either a short happened or something happened and black smoke started coming out of it and like the side of the kit melted open. So that's never fun to experience. Okay. See, like this is a major connecting pin. These two are major connecting pins. And these little rectangular slots are connecting pins. So you want to make sure that nothing's interfering with those so that you can pop the whole piece on.
Dee says, after closing it up, how or where do you put ventilation?
Well, you don't need ventilation. You just need a little bit of airflow around it. Meaning, if I were to stack these LED strips like right on top of each other, they could overheat. But if I have just one strip and there's open space around it, that's enough. They don't kick off a ton of heat, but if they're all sandwiched together like one after another, then it can start to kind of overheat. But like this, it's fine. There is the whole inside of the ship is open too, so there is airflow in there. But it's just like what I'm saying is, don't stack these things literally back to back on top of each other, because that will start to overheat them. And that's really only for these LED strips. The rest of the LEDs are fine. They kick off like no heat whatsoever. These LED strips, for some reason, do kick off some heat, but they are a great solution when you're trying to create even lighting. These light up all the windows, these strips. So when you're trying to do that, that's more of what I'm talking about. So this piece wasn't attached yet, and that's on purpose. Now I have these micro ones, and I want to place them evenly throughout and in little intervals. So probably right there would be good for each one. These do have a side that project light and a flat side. You can't really see it too well in the video, but it is there. There's a flat side and there's a lit side. Something just shorted. Uh-oh. Oh, I get it. I touched one of the... that was my bad. Yeah. I touched the tip of this thing to one of the exposed solder areas and that started to short it for a second. Whoops. I feel like in a lot of these videos, I feel like I'm saying the parenting thing, babe. You know, do as I say, don't do as I do.
D says, gotta run, catch you both later. Peace.
See you later, D. Thanks for hanging out.
What were you saying? The parent thing?
Yeah, you know that old parenting phrase, like, do as I say, don't do as I do?
Yeah.
I feel like I do that a lot with, like, my videos, because it's like I'll tell people not to do something, and then I'll end up doing it by accident.
So it's our videos are not showing someone how to do stuff, we're showing people how not to do stuff.
How not to do stuff, yes.
Well, that's helpful, too.
Yeah, learn by my mistakes. That's like my old blog. It used to be Eye of Error. It wasn't just a good pun. It was literal. I bet D's off to eat those delicious sounding fajitas.
It did sound good.
What time do we have?
It's 2:54.
It's perfect timing because after I put these 3 other LEDs in, it's kind of where I gotta stop the video for now to attend to some minor details. killed that one light by accident. It's alright, I got a few more of these guys. I got literally 2 more of these guys, which is just enough to fix the one that got pulled. Alright, so this will look pretty good once it's all bounced off. But that's pretty much it for today, I think, because kind of at like a stopping point here. This kit is really close to done. Let's look at these flickering lights one more time. Those look good. I'm happy with those. The side lights, I went for a little warm white, so that's not too bad. Yeah, so I think I'm pretty much going to stop there because I can't really go any further. I do have to fix the one light that I just burnt out by accident, so, well, I didn't burn it out. The glue moved before it settled, and then it didn't go in the position the right way. And I tried to use the X-Acto knife to move it out of the way, and I ended up slicing the LED by accident. So this guy is just going to get swapped out for a replacement right here. And then I can run the wires out the bottom of the kit for the AAA battery pack, which will fit in here. Because that should power things a little bit more than a 9-volt would, because it would be 12 volts. The circuit is 9 to 12 volt. So if I run it on the 12 volt side, it'll be a little bit brighter. But that's pretty much where it's going to be. After that, I'm pretty much done with this model. Like, I got to close it up, make sure there's no like light leaks. This piece needs to get installed into the top, and oh, I'm probably going to put one LED in the top of the head here for the windows right here, but that's about it. And as far as the base goes, I'm still not sure what I'm going to do with these guys, if I'm going to show them or not. But this is just going to get sprayed black, and that's kind of it. So pretty close to done. And I'll definitely take photos of this and show it off in the customer creations soon, so you guys can see that. But thanks for joining us today, and I hope you guys at least had a chill time hanging out. We're going to be doing a Hellboy statue next week, and then in the near future we're also going to be doing a Skeletor statue, so both of those should be pretty fun, and that's where we're at. Alright, thanks guys. See you next week.